tricking people.
Oh, wait. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is yet time again. Monday. It's Monday. Fuck, I don't know. For the Monday Madhouse. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I already worked a full day, but that's all right. Today, I have Matt and Steph of Insymmetry Creations. Fresh off the launch of their brand new Kickstarter, which is already killing it.
We're trying, man. We're trying.
I see you got this. Got even the Tales from Nocturnia and Heirs of Isildur things behind. You got all kinds of stuff behind you right now.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't be surprised.
Got the microphone. Got the guitar over here.
If he ever used the phrase man cave, which Matt would never use the phrase man cave, but his office is definitely a legit man cave.
Right.
You can't even call it like a nerd cave, even though he's got more Funko Pops than most comic shops I know.
Look, as many shows as that he goes to and as many people that sell those, I mean, I don't know how he would walk away without a ton of them over time.
Well, there's only certain ones I collect. There's only certain ones I collect, and we when we were at Emerald City in Seattle, they had a exclusive Heirs, or not Heirs, but Lord of the Rings pop, and they only were supposed to have a certain number of them. And the first day, the line was like 3 football fields long, and I didn't get one, and I was pretty sad. And then we realized they had a certain number of them per day that they were putting out. And what was it, Steph? The third day I was able to get one and literally had like a tear.
Yeah, it was.
I'm like, yeah.
It was something, all right.
So, Tamara says, "What up, Jay, Matt, and Steph? Hello."
Well, hey.
What's up, Tamara? What's going on?
So, for those who have not already seen all the stuff that's gone around on the Kickstarter, please tell us about what is going on right now.
So the Kickstarter we have going on right now is for Heirs of Isildur versus Tales from Nocturnia. It is a 2-part campaign. The first part is the metal album, which is the follow-up to the Crossroads Conundrum. The reason it is called Heirs of Isildur versus Tales from Nocturnia is because we have our 2 different titles, which oddly enough, crazily enough, are Heirs of Isildur and what's the other one, Steph?
Tales from Isildur. No, I'm just kidding. It's Tales from Nocturnia.
That's right. You got it right. Ding, ding, ding. Excuse me. And so as we did our Kickstarter campaigns, we realized that there were some songs over time. Half of the songs we wrote were Heirs of Isildur based. Half of them were Tales from Nocturnia based. And we knew they were all going to be on this one album. So we said, let's just make it like it was Marvel versus Capcom and put 5 on one side of a splatter vinyl, turn it over, put 5 on the other side, and see which side people like better. Alongside of the album is the Heirs of Isildur Nightmare Scenario comic. And we're calling it a special edition comic because the comic is 2/3 the Nightmare Scenario story, and the other third is the lyrics and song explanations for all the songs on the album. So instead of putting 1 sheet of paper in there, 3-point type, you get a full page per song with the lyrics and explanation of what's going on in the song, and then also where it fits into its respective stories.
Right. So, hold on a second here, because I realized I should have probably downloaded more images and stuff like that. What's going on?
Come
I know,
on, Jerry,
right?
what now?
I know. So, well, I want people to check out what's going on with the Kickstarter here, because and some of the covers and stuff like that. I'm gonna hold on. I know you have somewhere on here. Actually, do me a favor. Message me over the Corey.
The Corey cover?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, give me 1 sec. Steph, so how are you doing? We're killing time while I'm sending this over to him. How are you doing?
I'm not sure what talking points we want to get to first as far as the campaign goes, because there's a lot to cover. So I don't want to overstep by starting to talk about something a little too early. But there's a lot. I mean, this is more of a music-centered show, so I think we probably want to at least talk about the musicians involved and what happened with Corey and those types of things. I'm just rambling because I wasn't prepared to run things right now.
Here, so I just threw a bunch of stuff over into your
I
bunch
see
of stuff
that.
over into the chat window there.
Right. So as you guys can all see, those folks watching, I am totally unprepared. I'm not totally unprepared. I actually have the new song up and ready to play at some point here. So Matt, so
yes.
tell us a little bit about the stuff that you did with, because I'm going to show the cover for the Corey Steger cover.
Sure.
Because obviously I'm sure you want to give a little bit of explanation into that.
Sure. So for those of you that don't know, Corey Steger, who was an original member of Under Oath, has been a longtime friend of mine. Even back in the day in my old band, we actually did some tracks on one of my old bands, Royal Anguish's albums back in 2002, I believe is when we recorded. But Corey was a integral member of the musical side of Heirs of Isildur. The first album, The Crossroads Conundrum, he was a part of. He was on every song on that album. And then Corey was down on March 6th to record tracks for the album that we have on Kickstarter right now. And then tragically on March 17th, Corey was killed in a car accident. And when we say killed in a car accident, Corey had nothing to do with it. He was stopped at a light and somebody ran into him from behind. And so there was nothing he could have done to avoid the misfortune that befell him. It was definitely a really rough thing that happened. Just yesterday was the memorial service, was up at not yesterday, Saturday was the memorial service. Drove up to Jacksonville for it. There were members of a Manifest that is on the Artisan era. There was Dallas Taylor, original member of Under Oath. Chris Dudley was there, who was a keyboard player from Under Oath. And then Dallas is also Maylene in the Sons of Disaster. Octavia, the bass player from Under Oath, was there. It was a good time. It was a good time. Obviously, you wish that you didn't have that reason as to why you got together with those people. But that being said, we made the best of it that we could. It was live streamed, which is actually kind of cool. Steph, being in California, really wanted to be able to attend, and we're sitting there getting ready for the service to start. And the guy's like, "Oh, this is being live streamed on our website." So I'm like, I shared it on my Facebook really quick, shot the link over to Steph. And so she was able to be a part of the service from California, even though the service is taking place in Jacksonville. Right. But as to the cover you're talking about, when we were putting the Nightmare Scenario comic together, it is a bridge chapter between the Crossroads Conundrum story arc that we have and the upcoming one, The Perilous Prospects. And at the end of the Crossroads Conundrum, our main character, Michael Isildur, is in mortal peril. Is he alive? Has he perished? Is he somewhere in between? So you can imagine that the imagery that's in the story is kind of dark. And there were a couple of images in there that we thought would be really cool to have as variant covers. And for those that don't know, in the comic world, there's always like 5, 6, 7 covers for comics. It's just the way that it works.
Right. So speaking of the one cover, let's make sure that this actually goes up right.
Sure.
Up. There we go.
So that is the cover that we removed a bunch of covers and we added this cover in. This is Corey Steger's tribute cover. We had James Sims do that for us. We obviously, as you can tell, it's a Game of Thrones inspired cover, but all the guitars that you can see in the throne are actually Corey's actual guitars that he played over the years. Corey was well known for getting a guitar and selling a guitar or buying one and giving it away. And that was just the thing that he did. He just, always was cycling through guitars. And so Steph and myself and Corey's best friend Rick Lobb went through, and we found pictures and screen caps and images of every guitar that we could find, and there you go. There's the that's what all the guitars you see in there are ones that either Corey played in Under Oath, in Archer, in Symmetry Point, or on the Heirs of Isildur albums.
So, speaking of the Kickstarter, first off, the initial goal, or at least the initial kind of want to at the very least get there was what, 3,500, I think.
Yep.
And let's see here, how up to date is this image?
The one that I sent you, it's up to date. The one that was Steph. Yes.
Yep.
So Steph had this interesting thing going. She's had this interesting thing going on. The other day, she was doing her laundry, and she pulled a tank top out, and her magical tank top actually had some information on there, and had the campaign. And then today she was going through her vinyl, and she pulled out some vinyl, and magically she had some vinyl that actually showed our campaign information. It's really weird magical vinyl that she has, and that vinyl actually spoke out loud to her and said, "Don't forget you're on with Jay Wendell tonight." And there, we have this feeling that this imagery could continue. I mean, I had a feeling, I had a vision that it's possible that Jay Wendell might want to pay attention, because there might be an image that may show up on his Midwest Metal screen. You never know.
That's true. Wait, where? What? Oh, what? This one?
Yeah.
Now you're confusing me. Look, I'm easily confused. But let's see here. Now
so,
this image.
So something really interesting. So while we were on here, as we said that the campaign was up to date. It was up to date until you literally put the screen up there. And when you put the screen up there, it said we were at 108 backers. We're now at 109 backers, and it's 68.38. So we actually just had somebody back for quite a few dollars on there while we were sitting here.
Hey, that works.
Thank you, whoever it was. That's awesome. We love that.
Oh, you said another image too. One of the other covers here. So I absolutely love the garbage garbage patch style. Yes, all the cards that you guys have done and everything like that. And let me load this one up here real quick, because I think that people would dig this. At least I would hope they would. There we go.
So, Steph, you want to talk about this? You want me to talk about it?
So when we ran our other campaign for our medieval fantasy series, Tales from Nocturnia, one of the variant cover ideas that we had was to do an homage to Garbage Pail Kids. Matt's a big Garbage Pail Kids fan. He has cards in binders dating back to when he was a little kid. And we wanted to do a take on the famous Atom Bomb card, which is what you see here. We had artist Walter Osley do 2 images that we released at the time. We did one for our hero of the story, Beninock, and that was Blasted Beninock. And then we had one for the villain, which was Verminoth. So his name was Vile Verminoth. And they looked similar to this, where it was, them sitting there with their heads exploding in the atom bomb style. And we did standard covers for those and foil covers for those. And they were really popular. But what people didn't know is that we actually had Walter do 3 covers. We knew that we were going to eventually do another Heirs campaign. And we said, wouldn't it be cool if we did one for Michael and named it Malfunctioning Michael and had it in the same style, and then people could collect all 3 at some point. So we just kind of held on to that cover for, there you go, there's all 3 right there. We held on to the Michael cover until it was appropriate to release it. And we said, you know what, we want to do it definitely for this campaign. So there you go. There's all 3 covers. You can get them in standard or foil. And I just think they're really cool collector's items.
Yeah, all of them turned out great. I mean, honestly, I love all the variant covers you guys have managed to do too. Still one of my favorite ones though is the Inferni one.
Yeah,
Inferni one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that just looks badass. That I have a sneaking suspicion.
I'll shoot that over to you as well, so you can show your adoring fan base.
What that one is the metal band in Fairy out of the Arson era. Are friends of ours. We've seen them at shows. We got to talking to them one night before a show. I think it was before.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how we got stuck on the subject, but because we do a lot of draw-ins, which means that we offer tiers and opportunities for people, readers, fans to get themselves drawn into one of our issues. And this ranges from a cameo in a crowd all the way up to a character that has a speaking role and is an integral part of the story. So
that in this last one, there was some zombie heads.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
But within Fairy, we were talking to them and they said, man, it would be so cool to be in a comic and get killed off. And we were like, we could do that for you guys. So we wrote them into the Nocturnia story, and we commissioned a cover to have them look like badasses right there. There you go. That's done by Thomas Tinney, who's done work for Marvel and Creepshow. And it was just awesome. I mean, who can say that you're in a metal band and have been in a comic, but these guys can.
The timing was about perfect on that too, because it was right before they came out, or was it right before or right after they came out with their new album?
It was right before.
Yeah.
So I feel like they should have put that in the damn album.
Well, the funny thing about that too was Andrew and Stevie, their vocalist and their bassist.
Mm-hmm.
The four of us were having this conversation, like, "Oh man, it'd be so cool to get killed off in a comic book." And we were talking about Heirs at the time,
right?
And they just kind of just launched it. Oh, we could do this, and this could happen, and this could happen. And they just had these crazy ideas, and then when the conversation got done, Steph and I were like, well, you do know that, we were talking to ourselves, like, we do have this part that's going to be in Tales from Nocturnia #2. And that seems like it'd be perfect for that. And we pitched the idea to them. And one of the things that we had said, without spoiling it for anybody, was, we were like, okay, we'll kill them all off except for one. And Malcolm, their front man, when I say front man, he's the one who runs the band, even though he's the lead guitar player. He was like, no, I've been thinking about this. And he's like, there's no way that if my brothers all died, that I would just run off. He's like, if my brothers are going to die, I'm not going to be the pussy and run off. I need to get killed off too. I was like, all right, man. And so we actually launched that Kickstarter on October 29th because they had a show on October 28th. And Steph and I had figured everything. Like we were on the phone in the car on the way there. And I actually had to have a meeting with each one of them individually. Okay, here's how you're going to come into the story. You're going to get this kind of kill. Here's how you're going to leave the story. Here's the glorious way you're going to go out, and run it by each one of them so that they were all on board with their arc, and everybody was cool. So next thing you know, we have the Inferians, and the Inferians going to have their grand role in the story.
Well, there we go. So before we get too much further, let's play the music video so people, the new song, just because I want people to kind of get a feel for how that album is going to be, and this is a good way to kick their ass. So
sounds good to me.
All right, so without further ado, Yay!
So that song is called The Perilous Prospects of Shadow's Haven. That's actually going to be the first song on the album. The album is going to start off with a set of 3 songs, all called The Perilous Prospects. Perilous Prospects of Shadow's Haven, Perilous Prospects of the Portals, and the Perilous Prospects of the Timekeeper. And what we're doing with this album is different than what we did with the first album. The first album, The Crossroads Conundrum, every song related back to a chapter or an issue in the story. And there's spots where you could have a, what's up, JC Dawn? Where you could have, say, hey, you want to know more about this character? Go listen to this song to get an origin story. What we're doing with this album is we want to make sure when it comes to the Heirs side that people can understand what the lay of the land is for the Perilous Prospects before they even get into the Perilous Prospects. So the lay of the land is you have the Timekeeper, who is our main character, Michael Isildur. We talk about the Perilous Prospects, the journey that he took basically through the Crossroads Conundrum and where he's at the end. We talk about the Perilous Prospects of the Portals, which is, he is a timekeeper and an inventor and a creator, and he happens upon this laboratory that looks like it has been abandoned for decades and decades, and he starts messing with machinery and ends up accidentally opening up some time portals. The song Perilous Prospects of the Portals goes back decades to when these machines were actually created, the people that did it, why those people aren't around anymore, the conflict that they had with the individuals from Shadow's Haven. And that's the song, The Perilous Prospects of Shadow's Haven, talks about from Shadow's Haven's perspective, how they viewed the people that were dealing with the portals. So in those songs, it helps you to understand from the Shadow's Haven perspective, here's what they thought about the guys messing with the portals. The people that are messing with the portals, here's what they thought about Shadow's Haven. And then decades later, here comes this innocent timekeeper that has no clue about any of this nonsense that was going on, that just kind of happens upon, stumbles into this mess and has to kind of figure it out.
All right. So, question for both of you. How the hell did you guys hook up here as far as starting to write comics together and everything like that? Because I mean, obviously, I don't think I've ever asked you personally what the answer to that is. So
I don't think you have actually. We met in January of 2018. We had a mutual friend and associate in the comic industry who was a publisher, and he had posted on Facebook. I mean, he has thousands, like hundreds, if not thousands of friends.
Right.
And he had posted on Facebook that he was going through a hard time, and Matt posted some sort of post of encouragement, and then probably like hundreds of posts down, I did. And it was just the same, hey buddy, hang in there type of thing, And I don't know if notifications were on, however Facebook, works with that sort of thing. But Matt saw my comment, and he saw the art that was associated with my profile, which at the time, and I think maybe even still now, but it was a one-page comic that I had done that was like a supernatural Western that was finalist in a online competition called Ghost City Comics. And he just, sent me a message, and because he dug the art, and we started talking, comics and being in the biz. And next thing you know, a few months later, we're starting an LLC together.
Well, and from my side, one of the things that was neat was that that I had sent the first 2 issues. The Crossroads Conundrum was an 11-issue arc, and I had sent Steph the first 2 issues, and she did an incredibly deep character study of what was going on there. And she was like, I've never seen somebody do what you're doing with the comics and how the music is associated with it. And she got really, really deep into what the characters were. And it was really impressive to me how much she invested herself in what the characters were. And early on, she became, I don't want to say my muse, but more like my thermometer to see if what I was doing actually worked. And as a new issue would come out, I would read it to her over the phone, and I would see if the things I wanted somebody to react to, if she was catching those things. And it was like to a T, everything that I was hoping would be reacted to, she would react to. And anybody that knows Steph knows that she has no poker face whatsoever.
I don't ever hide my reactions. I'm the type of person you want to give a gift to. And I don't say that because I want gifts. I say that because my reactions are always like, it may seem to some people that it's like super over the top, but that's just how I am.
I can tell you that one of the best reactions that she ever had, this is just after we had started to really know we needed to work together, because we thought the same, we had the same goals in mind. Even though we were on opposite coasts of the country, we knew that we were going to end up linking up. Was Heirs of Isildur issue 6 deals with, it's actually the link point between Heirs of Isildur and Tales from Nocturnia. There's a video for the song Lovelorn Betrayal. The video came out first, and Steph was actually part of the production team on that video. But at the time, I would not share with Steph or anyone else what the actual story arc in the issue was until the issue was ready. And so she was a part of the production team for the video, and she got to see how the storyline played out in the video. Then she got to see how the storyline played out in the issue, dealing with the exact same subject. And it was a little bit different because the video kind of dealt with it from like a bird's eye view. Here's what a bird would see if it saw the issue going on. Right. Issue 6 saw it from a character's point of view and what the character thought was going on. And it was purposely designed where you were like, is this guy not remembering it correctly? Is he conveniently leaving some of the points out? And I will never forget being on video chat with Steph. And we got to the end of the issue, and she backed up from her chair. She ran down her hallway, ran back, and came back to the screen. She's like, what is going on? What just happened? That was crazy. Holy crap. And it just gave the video an entirely different perspective. And she was just like, what are you doing?
Sometimes.
But you know what? That's what you want. I mean,
but Matt loves that. He loves people, and I don't mean that in a weird way. I just mean that he loves knowing what people think. I mean, even if somebody was like, that doesn't make sense at all, he would want to hear that.
Could you imagine if Jay Wendell? Could you imagine if Jay Wendell had somebody like, Jay, they back up, they run back, dude, Jay, that cut-in you just did, holy crap, that was amazing. You'd be like,
yeah,
dude.
look,
like a used car salesman, you know?
Not gonna happen.
So Steph, get on that forum.
Yeah, so it was just, and it's cool. Like we look back on old messages, and it was very clear even from the get go. We were like, man, if we were, we could have been more on the same page unless we were writing it together. We were making comments like that very early on. It just works well. There's just, co-writing is very difficult. You have to really have a lot of trust in the other person, and you have to have a thick skin, and you have to be okay with knowing that what you're wanting to create isn't just yours to create. I think it's like anything else, like a movie or a TV show. You're not the only person. A single author writing prose can sit in their office and write their story, and they just have to listen to their editor. But when you're co-writing and co-creating something together, there's an extra layer of trust and putting your dignity aside sometimes to know that it's for the betterment of the story.
Right. So here's another question, because I've also never asked you this. What are your general music tastes, Steph?
So mine?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of yeah, well, I just wanted to make sure before I started answering. Well, it's kind of funny, and I always say I wasn't necessarily a metalhead before I met Matt, but it wasn't that I didn't like metal. I just wasn't really exposed to a lot of it. I didn't have any friends that listened to metal. I didn't have any family members that listened to metal. So my exposure to it was very little. I just knew it was just kind of one of those music genres that was there that I didn't really listen to a lot. But growing up, I was a kid of the 90s, so I listened to grunge like crazy. But my music tastes are very eclectic. It's like you look at my running playlist, and I love 80s. I will always love 80s music. I've got everything from that to rap to rock, all of this stuff. But I am totally a metalhead now. I love metal music. I love the energy. I love going to live shows, and I cannot wait to be able to do it again. Going to a live metal show, there's nothing else like it. It's the energy from the crowd and from the band on stage. There's just nothing else like it.
So I've got to know, what was your reaction like to the very first time that you heard one of Matt's Heirs of Isildur tracks?
Okay, so I don't know if I've ever told Matt this exactly, but he told me what it was about. He said, I'm writing, and it's all good. It's all good. But he told me what he was doing. He said, I have this comic and I have this accompanied, and he sent me the comics. So when you're reading the comics, it'll say, to learn more about this character, go to this video on YouTube. And that's what I did, because I'm like, okay, I want to experience this completely. I know this is something different than what I've read in comics. And I know that he mentioned it was metal, but as somebody who didn't have a lot of exposure to metal, I remember sitting on my couch and being like, okay, I'm going to go to YouTube, and being like, oh my God. How
loud did you have it set when you did it?
I don't think I had it that loud, but it was not, I wasn't expecting anything, but it was never like oh God, it was more of like
I'm trying to think, what was the first one that
I'm actually going to send you the link over to it right now.
I distinctly remember telling somebody, and I don't remember who now, probably another comic friend, being like, this guy sent me this music, and it was like, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. I remember saying that, but again, all in a positive way. It wasn't like, what the hell is this guy thinking? It was just, I don't even know. It's like when you experience something for the first time, you're like, what in the world am I listening to?
It was like sex for her ears.
Yeah. It was my virgin ears were.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things though, because there's your typical metal, what you hear and everything like that on a regular basis if you are listening to metal, and then Matt likes heavier than that.
Well, and it's funny too, because it's like there's two extremes, and then we joke about this too, because our taste, now that I am well versed in metal music, I have my own particular taste of the types of metal that I like. But Matt is either like, give me as many blast beats as I can possibly get in a song, the heavier the better, or it's like, this barely counts as metal music. It's like Norwegian folk. We're walking around Oktoberfest with our beers, and it's like we're eating our brats, that kind of music. but he tends to like the happier end of that, whereas I'm like, I want like the blacker the better. I want doom metal, and it's very
she's like,
opposite of
what
her
have you done to her?
It's
I know.
actually it's actually so weird because I can tell you the first time that I sent her a folk metal song and got a reaction out of her, I was like very surprised at the reaction I got. I was like, oh man, Steph's gonna like this, and she was like, dude, no.
It's not my favorite.
She's like, give me Apocalypse Orchestra, give me Doom, give me something that's slow and sludgy, or give me tech metal, but get those flutes out of my metal. And I was like, I was like, dang it, what is going on here?
Like,
yeah.
So are you trying to basically say that she's not a big Helveti fan?
You know what? I've seen Helveti in concert, and Helveti are good friends of Matt's, so I could never say that about them.
Fair enough.
You know what though? Helveti is one of those bands where I've heard their most recent stuff because I saw them in concert, and then I hear what Matt has exposed me to. But what Matt has exposed me to isn't necessarily what they play anymore. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's right.
Yes.
So I think when I saw them live, I was like, wow, this sounds really different. But
I feel like they kind of got a little bit more. Is marketable is the right word? Because I still enjoy them, but it's definitely become a little bit more. Mainstream's not quite the right word because it's still certainly not mainstream, but.
Well, I think too. You know, and Kriegel is a good friend of mine. I have nothing bad to say about Helveti in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, the one tour that we did in Europe back in the day was with Helveti, and definitely a seminal moment in my life. Like we were literally touring with them. I actually had in my hands their debut album Spirit before the band did. Like we actually physically, because we were picked up at the airport by the record label owner. We were staying at his house when the boxes of their merch got there. So
you told me about that.
Oh yeah. So we actually pranked the band, and I had only really talked with Kriegel at that point. And the thing that I didn't know at the time was that most of the people in that band had never met an American before. They were about to meet their first Americans when they met us at the time of the first show. So here are these very well-mannered, pleasant, quiet Swiss musicians who get these emails from this wild American metal band that are all wearing their shirts and holding up their CDs saying, your stuff sounds so awesome. And I remember that the bass player at the time was telling me, he's like, dude, who the heck are these people that have our stuff? Like I'm not going to say he was offended, but he definitely had one of those reactions. Like we talked about it as the tour was going on, that he was just like, his first reaction, like, what is this crap that's happening? So for me, I really like everybody that's in the band now. They're all really good people, the people that I've met. But it's interesting watching how that band metamorphosized, because you had Mary Taddick, the violin player who left early, the twins that were in the band who actually share the same birthday with my oldest daughter. They left. Then you had the split where a lot of them went off and did Cellar Darling together. And so the only person that is left in the band from that period is Kriegel himself. And so even when hearing the original songs, it's a little bit different, because a lot of what the charm was at the beginning was the people that were in the band at the time. So there's still charm to the band. It's just a different iteration of what the band is now. So it's
natural evolution. I think any band or performer goes through that at some point. I mean, I know that there's this whole thing with, if a band changes their sound, then they've sold out. But I also think that if you're going to be a band that's going to be around for decades or a really long extended period of time, you have to kind of grow and evolve. And that's part of it. We grow and evolve as writers. Matt has grown and evolved as music. One of the coolest things to hear is the song that we just played. Everybody that has heard it and knows Matt's material from before have all said the same thing. And I say it all the time, but coming from me, it's not that it doesn't mean as much. It's just that, you need kind of more of an unbiased opinion sometimes. Because I would never tell him, unless he was like tone deaf or something. I'm not going to tell him that his music sounds like crap. I'm not going to say that. To me, it sounds great. But everybody that has heard it has said, this is your best stuff yet. This is your best material yet. This is your best song yet. And I have been saying that. I said, your vocals, and it's watching the video that we did the other night for Love Long Betrayal, like we were talking about. I even told him, I said, wow, hearing the older stuff, I can really tell how you've grown, how your vocals have grown. It's just great. It's fun to see it happen.
Well, I was spoiled on that anyhow. I've probably got to hear a lot more than most people have at this point from Matt's car directly.
That's right.
But
that's right. For outside the car door.
but I mean, as far as Elvedi goes, though, first off, I have to almost thank them for the fact that, my girlfriend, I think one of the reasons she liked me more ahead of time as it was that's her favorite band. So, and the fact that she was wearing a shirt and I recognized immediately, and she's like, "What? You actually know who they are?"
That's always a nice thing.
Well, I mean, they're not. Well, it depends on the circles and everything like that, but they're not a commonly known band, at least not stateside.
Which is weird because they are a huge folk metal band. If you go look at the festival appearances that they've done, I would say outside of Corpaclani, they probably have some of the biggest crowds, period. And so it's right. And if you look at, I would dare say outside of the original folk metal bands like Fintroll and Moonsorrow, there's probably more Eluveitie clones out there and bands that were heavily influenced by Eluveitie than any other folk metal bands out there. They really helped to take the folk metal sound and bring it into the forefront. So they've got a place out there that I think is bigger than what they actually are, but they are still really big.
Right. I still think it's funny. Almost every band you mentioned there, I still remember at some point or another seeing the one wrestler that I interviewed last year, Eric Rowan, Eric Redbeard.
Yep.
Literally wore shirts for almost every last one of those bands in ring.
I remember. I feel like he wore an Eluveitie shirt one time, and I remember telling Steph, "Dude, look at that! It's like he's on WWE television. He's wearing freaking Eluveitie to the shirt to this ring."
He was wearing a Corpaclani shirt. I remember that. It's like nobody.
I remember that,
and everybody's like, "Who the hell? What's that?" It's like, holy shit, that's a Corpaclani shirt.
You know what? Speaking of that, I want to make sure because I think we talked about it before we came on air, but we haven't definitely mentioned it, that Steph is a rebel, and Steph absolutely and totally refused to be a triplet with us. That we decided without any kind of knowledge that we were going to wear the same shirt together.
It's true.
Okay, to be fair, people who are watching, they literally said, go change your shirt like 2 seconds before we went live. Okay?
Although
I remember it.
It wasn't, but it was not planned. It really was
not planned. In my defense, don't spring on me to go and change my shirt like 2 seconds before we're live. There's going to be a wardrobe malfunction, or I'm going to be, the next like viral thing where I sit down in front of the thing and it's live broadcasting me with half a shirt on. So no, that wasn't going to happen.
But yeah, I remember, or before I had got on there, it's like, wait, I said, you know what? I'm going to change shirt to at least something that's kind of on brand here. And then, like, of course, Matt comes on the camera. It's like, son of a bitch, he's wearing the same shirt.
It's funny, too, because we have quite a few shirts. So the odds of it being the same shirt are pretty funny.
I mean, like, I have other shirts, too, that, let's see here. I have a Tales from Nocturnia one. I have one of the
Nocturnia, Dragon's Lair. I remember when you got those. You got at least three.
And I have the original Heirs logo, the gear logo.
Yeah, the gear shirt. Yeah.
Yep. So, which I think I got that before you and Steph met, I think.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Because the thing is, the album came out in December of 2017. Steph and I met in January of 2018, and the first video, the video for Shiver, came out on March 31st of 2017. So it's been quite a while. And one of the things
I
that
got the shirt. I got the shirt before the album, certainly before the album dropped and everything like that. So
absolutely. Yep. Well, and you know what? We can go back. Let's go back just a little bit. I'll tell you something, Jay, that I think the thing that really solidified the link that Steph and I have was very early on. I knew that this person I trusted with my brand at the time more than anybody else. She had invested herself mentally and emotionally into what's going on with these characters. And I had a steampunk show coming up, and I needed to have somebody else come down to the show with me other than my family. And I wanted to have, and I remember sitting here going, I said to myself, I'm like, I do not trust anyone else with this brand more than Steph, because she really, like I said, she had invested herself in this brand like nothing I had ever seen. And I asked her one day, I mean, I knew it was kind of silly, but I was like, man, you know, I got the steampunk show coming up in Tampa in July, or I didn't even say the date for a second.
Oh yeah, you didn't even say when it was.
I said I got the steampunk show coming up, and I said I really wish you could go to it in Florida, because I trust nobody else with a brand more than I trust you. And she's like, I expected her to be like, yeah, that would have been fun. Her first response was, when is it? And
he didn't even say I'd like to have you. He said, it was like this very roundabout way of getting to it. He's like, this is kind of a really ridiculous idea. Kept saying that. And he's like, you know, I thought about having this one person go, but really it's, there's no one I trust more than you. And it was like, ... and I'm like,
well, it's kind of hard to be like,
let's go
ask somebody from California,
I had never been to Florida and
do this show.
Ever. Yeah, I was in California, so it's like, that's a big venture. And so I was like, when is it? And he told me, and I'm like, let me look into some things. I think that I could probably do them. By that night, I knew. Yeah, I think I literally bought my ticket that night. Literally
that night, I talked to her, or like middle afternoon that night, she already had her ticket. I'm like, we're like, what just happened? And it's been a rocket ship, to the top ever since.
Yep.
I'm still disappointed that Steph bailed on us.
I know. I'm so sad about that. It was one of those things where
she didn't really bail, by the way.
I didn't. Well, I kind of did, but not on you. Well, I was seriously bummed. I was like, damn it, Jay's going to be there and I'm not going to be able to meet him. But yeah, it was one of those things where we had, I was supposed to be at that show that you were at. And then even before I knew you were going to be there, this other opportunity for the show in Jacksonville for Matt to where he's actually the panel moderator and he interviews all the celebrities. And that's one where he has to have somebody there to help him, not only just to man the booth while he's going back and forth doing these, but help research and kind of make sure that these celebrities are treated the way that they expect to be treated. So it was kind of like, oh yeah, a 1 day show or 3 days in Jacksonville interviewing celebrities.
Well, the thing too with that too was, it wasn't even a choice of one show over the other. Definitely don't want to portray that to people. Steph had the ticket for the show that you were at, but we already had a standing commitment. There was already a standing commitment in place to do Collective Con in Jacksonville. We were under the impression when she got the ticket for Olo that they were not going to need me to go to Collective Con. It just, the request, we already had the standing commitment if they needed me. And we just thought, we would have heard by now if they needed me. And then we heard like 2 weeks later after she bought the ticket, yep, come on up, we need you for the show. So it was like, well, crap. And Steph had to go through the mechanisms of changing her ticket from the show you were at to the Collective Con show, because even though we wanted Steph at the show you were at, we had a commitment for her to be at the other show. So even if she wanted to be at the Olo show, which you were at, we had to honor the commitment for the first show, which, like she said, was a much, much more time consuming, much bigger event than the first.
Yeah. She bailed on us.
Yeah.
Apparently.
That's all right. It would have just been like two giant people instead of one giant person next to you. That's all.
I know.
and you know what, though? One of the things too, Steph would have completely enjoyed that show because, Steph has got the, the body temperature of like a snake, where like she could be like in 875 degree temperatures and she's going to be like, I need a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And for big
I
guys
know
like
when he
you,
told me the AC broke, I was like, "Oh, that sounds so nice."
for big guys like Jay and I was like, I thought I was gonna die. I mean, I had heat exhaustion for days after that. I mean, it was so hot. It was so hot.
Well, that, and on top of the fact that you were in full costume, which meant that you had like no breathing at all.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm almost surprised he didn't go even quicker to go change as soon as everything was done.
Oh yeah, he can't. I mean, it's like setting up for the show. It's tank top and shorts, and it's tank top and shorts as soon as the show is over. Once people are out, and
just remember this: if you do any live performances of music or anything like that with this stuff ever, I know you're gonna want to be in full dress, but I'm telling you now, either design stuff that has more breathing or you're gonna die.
I'll tell you right now, here's what would happen if that was to ever happen. Part of the stage setup is going to be fans all the way across the front, and I don't mean people going I mean like actual I was talking about Jay. I'm talking about fans to blow air on me so that like I'm like not dying. I don't know what you were thinking about, Steph. I was talking about Jay.
Look, you could really do the whole like the top hat though with like a fan in it though. I mean, really.
Let me tell you.
That's actually a thing.
When we were at Aethertopia, there was a guy there that actually had taken like computer fans and he had them inside the top of his hat. And I'm like, dude, that is an amazing idea. You need to market that because you'll sell millions of them. And I haven't seen him do anything since then. So,
well, millions might be a little bit going far on that because I still think that steampunk does still have a little bit of a niche market. However,
well, the funny thing is it does, but a lot of steampunk is a very classy subgenre. And when you go to a show, one of the things that you'll notice about people in steampunk is a lot of times they're of an older demographic, but they put a lot of money into what they wear and what they do and what they design. So it's not like if you go to a medieval fair, medieval fairs a lot of times are going to be minimalist. Hey, I'm going to go create a minimalist dress or something like that.
Oh no! It's either or, because it's either minimalist or holy shit, did they put a lot into what they are wearing?
But there's not really. You can't really go minimalist when it comes to steampunk. You can't really go minimalist. There's everything steampunk has got some kind of fashion to it and some kind of style to it, and so there's guys that we know out there in steampunk. We have a picture up on our website. There's a guy we named Steven Morera that makes some of the most insane top hats you'll ever see. There's one that Steph's wearing that's got lights on it, and it's got motors and moving wings on top of it. He made one that was based on the movie Mortal Engines, where it's got like the moving New York City and stuff like that. He actually made a top hat designed like that. I mean, people go to some pretty big extremes for their steampunk outfits. And if there's a way to make those things more comfortable, I mean, I used to wear a jacket to these shows. Forget that crap. I'm not doing that anymore. It's too hot. It's too hot.
Like there's a couple shows that maybe you could get away with that at, depending on how cold it is, or like just how well they keep it air conditioned and everything. But yeah, there's no way you could have pulled off a jacket and survived.
No.
And Steph, who can adjust to all, actually likes the warm temperature and everything like that, still has stuff that's cooler to wear than you have.
I know. Well, I can get away with it though, because I'm a girl. I think if Matt wore, I mean, I guess he could if he really wanted to, but if he wore a fishnet shirt and well, we like to our fashion, as you want to call it, has evolved over time, because I quickly realized that while corsets and big skirts look beautiful and are very attractive, no matter if you're wearing them, they're not conducive to standing behind a table and bending down underneath the table to get something for somebody. So we've kind of evolved our wear a little bit. Now our thing to do is just twin. We love that wearing the same stuff. And but a lot of times I'll wear shirts and wear like a fishnet, something underneath it. We're trying to go, we try to go, depending on the show, we might go a little bit edgier sometime, or we might go, but it's still always classy. I mean, we stand out. We, especially if we're walking together and we're wearing the same shirt. And the thing that I like to say about the shirts, I think I may have said it on your show before, is picture your grandma's sofa from like the 1970s, and those are the shirts we like to wear.
Well, we have a friend named Thurl Hupp that Thurl said to me one time, he's like, I can pretty much make anything steampunk. And Thurl does some of the most outrageous, amazing, like you look at what he does and you're just like, it's crazy the kind of amazing concoctions he comes up with. And we have taken a card from his playbook, and we're like, we can make something steampunk as well, because people think of steampunk and the first thing they think about is goggles and brown. And there's nothing wrong with those two things, but we're like, we can have fun with this, and we can do more with it, because the other part of steampunk is like fun and whimsy. I mean, you can't think about steampunk just all serious. There's always a little bit of just fun that happens with steampunk. And if you're not, taking it a little bit less seriously than other things, I mean, you're definitely going to take steampunk a lot less serious than black metal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like steampunk is a little bit more like folk metal. You can listen to folk metal and you're going to smile. If you are listening to Trollfest and you hear them bust out the accordion or the saxophone, you're going to smile. There's just something about those melodies that are going to make you smile. And we kind of see the same thing with steampunk when we're wearing, shirts that look like, 1980s neon, barfed all over the shirt, but then we've got the vest over top of it. And then the top hat, we're like, hey, we found a way to make this thing be our own look and be our own style, put our own spin on what steampunk is to evolve it ourselves and not be stuck in the Victorian time period.
There we go. Just trying to get the thing to go down the underneath here. That way people know where the heck to go for the Kickstarter and such. Not that Matt doesn't already have it like right there on his thing.
It's all right, but we also have a clickable link in there, and
right. So how excited are you to have, this is the first time that you had a Kickstarter that went that was, or what the hell's the term?
Funded.
Or well, no, not funded. I mean, you guys have had
we got projects we love for the first time.
Yes, that projects we love. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you take that one, Steph.
For those that don't know, with Kickstarter, there's the Kickstarter team, the people that work for Kickstarter will routinely go through and they will pick campaigns that speak to them in whatever way, or just ones that they really dig, and they deem those projects we love. And you actually get like a little that actually gets said on your campaign. You'll have the words projects we love on the campaign, and that gets featured a little bit more prominently on their on the Kickstarter main website. And so it's kind of like this I can't think of the word now.
Just the accolade.
Yeah, or like when you really covet something that's, I'm really tired. I don't know. That golden chalice or whatever.
It's something we aspire to. It's something we aspire to get.
It's the thing that is, kind of elusive that everybody really wants. And we finally got it this campaign. So it's pretty cool.
What's up, Annie Barrett? Annie's one of our super fans. Annie is a really cool person. Annie, if you go back and look at the different issues of Heirs, Annie has been drawn into what we do in Heirs and Tales from Nocturnia more than any other person. And Annie is, I remember having a conversation with Annie at one point, and she was like, hey, if you guys ever have an opportunity to need a villain or a vice villain or something like that, I could do that. And I was like, what kind of a weird request is that, a vice villain? But she said that early on. And as time went on, we actually were able to evolve a character for her in Tales from Nocturnia. So she actually has her own trading card and everything that came out of Tales from Nocturnia. for one of her characters. We got to kill her in glorious fashion, which we really enjoyed being able to kill her off. But Annie will be in Heirs of Isildur. She'll be in the next issue. She was in Heirs of Isildur 11, scaring a small child. But she'll be in Nightmare Scenario. She'll be in the Perilous Prospects. It's going to be fun. Why did it have to be Burge? You'll have to read the story to figure that out. So we just hit the top of the hour at 9:00. So if you're somebody new that is joining in, we have our Kickstarter that's running at Heirs at tinyurl.com/Heirs versus TFN. It is a dual album and comic Kickstarter. The album we are going to be releasing on MP3 and CD, and then there are 2 different versions of splatter vinyl. We've got a blue, red, and black Galaxy style print, and then we also have a neon orange with green splatter. And we did the 2 different versions that are, a lot of times when people do variants, they'll do them where they're similar, just with different styles to the vinyl itself. For us, we wanted to do one that was more Heirs based, which is the Portal variant. And then we wanted to do one that looked more Nocturnia based, which is the Dragon's Lair variant, which is the green and orange, which is the colors of the double dragon logo we had for Tales from Nocturnia. So that's why the 2 variants look so different. We also have 2 different deliverable dates on this Kickstarter, which we tried to make very well known to people, because if people don't know, vinyl takes a long time to be produced, because there's only a very small number of vinyl pressing plants in the world. And vinyl is a very manual process. You can look at the shirt that Jay's wearing and that I'm wearing, and there's one piece of art that gets sent to the production plant. They have the shirts come through, they run the ink through, boom. Jay's shirt looks just like my shirt. We put them on, we're twins, we're super sexy, we go from there. With vinyl is a 2-part process. You have what looks like a donut with the base color. They take the donut and they put it in what looks like a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, and they mash it all around and hug it and squeeze it and call it George and do all this kind of stuff. And then they put it on the press, and the press comes down and creates your record. So you could have the 3 of us that are on the chat right now, all 3 get the same variant. Each one of our records is going to look a little bit different, because there's a manual process to get those flakes into the vinyl itself. So
in all technicality, all 3 of us probably will have at least one of the same. Because I would imagine that both of you are going to probably have the have both.
Yeah.
I would say it's fitting. So yeah, I'm getting at least one of them. So
of course you are. That's right.
No, they all look like one of a kind. So in the market we're in right now, which we're in a big collector's market right now, that makes these things even more unique, because every record is just a little bit different than the next guy's.
Right. And I mean, records in general, of like the amount of people collecting vinyl again is crazy, actually.
Well, and a funny story about vinyl from us too is that, people look at us, and we say it on pretty much every show that we're on, and they would think that I was going to be like, dude, we're doing metal, we're doing vinyl, and then Steph was over here going, yes, that sounds like a great idea, let's do vinyl. And that is the complete opposite of what. Absolutely. And that was me doing my best Steph impersonation. But it was actually the other way around. It was Steph going, hey man, if we're gonna do the album, I think we should do vinyl. No, and she really didn't say it. She's like, hey, she goes, I know it's time for us to do the album. I would like us to consider doing vinyl. And I was like, dude, that's going to be so expensive. That's crazy. But then we started looking into.
I don't know how she doesn't stab you for your impression there. That's
because she's in California right now.
See what I put up with all
she's
the
in
time?
California right now. By the time I see her again, she's going to forget that even happened. We're going to say that.
Yeah, but she can sneak up on. But she can sneak up on you.
Kick him in the ankles, right?
That's right. She could be like a chihuahua.
There are times when, just to segue very quickly, there are times when we have a sense of humor with each other, that we can say certain things to each other that's allowed, but we kind of forget that if you don't know that, it can sound really bad. So sometimes we forget, and we'll say those jokes to each other in front of somebody else, and that person will be like, like all shocked, and I'm like, it's okay, it's fine.
Well, that's because I like to call Steph a fat ass whenever I can.
Yes.
Because to call Steph a fat ass is about the most ridiculous thing known to man. Because see this coffee cup I have right here? This coffee cup is probably big enough for Steph to take a bath in. She is. I used to have a goal to have my body weight be no more than twice what Steph's body weight is. And that is so far away from reality right now, partially because I've got some pandemic weight and partially because Steph doesn't have any pandemic weight. And so like for me to even get to a point where I was half of her body or double her body weight right now, I literally have to remove a limb or my skull or something like that. And yeah, I'm not doing that.
There's a very special level of trust that comes with that kind of thing. Obviously, if I had any kind of complex whatsoever, he would not say those words, but it's okay because I'm like,
if Steph had a complex about that, there would be an issue because
I would be in treatment right now.
I don't know that you guys would necessarily be friends.
Yeah. Honestly, we would not be here together because I would be like, well, you're a jerk, so.
Yeah.
Ironically, on that note, I have to jump out because I'm terribly offended. No, I'm just kidding.
Terribly offended.
I unfortunately have to jump out, but I'm going to let Matt, take over and he'll kick ass and give you guys the lowdown on everything else that's going on with the campaign. But campaign goes till May 16th. We would love it if you guys would support. And thanks, Jay, for having us on.
Of course.
I will talk to you guys later.
All right. Have fun.
See ya.
One of the cool things about the campaign is that earlier on we showed the Corey Steger tribute cover, which is for our fallen bandmate and musical team member Corey Steger. When we did that cover, we wanted to find a way to be able to give back to the family. And like I said, we removed a bunch of the covers that we were going to do because they're a little bit too dark for what the situation was. And and what we decided was that we were going to take a portion of the sales price of each one of those covers and we were going to contribute it back to Corey's two young children, August and Vianne, who were obviously left behind when Corey had an unfortunate incident. Right. And so right now, $5 off of every cover that's sold is going to be contributed back to them. And it's not so much about the money. It's about us being able to show. And one of the other things too, we're going to take a card and anybody that gets one of those covers, Steph and I are going to handwrite everyone's name in that card of condolence and support, give it to the family members so that way, when those kids get older, they can be like, dang, these people didn't even know my dad, but they did this thing so that they could help us, even in the smallest bit, just to know that my dad's not forgotten.
Well, that's like I said, when I was looking through at the different levels and everything you had set up on the Kickstarter, I specifically grabbed one of the ones that was with that coverage because number one, I'm super supportive of stuff going. Number one, money going towards his kids. Number two, doing the card, everything like that. I felt like, I don't know, just a little bit more in the heart to go for that one. Well,
I can tell you, man, when we were at the memorial the other day, Dallas Taylor, who's the original vocalist of Under Oath and Maylene and the Son of Disaster, got up and spoke. And if you guys don't know the history of what happened with Dallas, for him to get up on stage and be able to be as eloquent as he was probably one of the most moving moments of the entire service. And again, I shared the live stream on my Facebook page. You could go back and take a look at it. Dallas was almost killed in an ATV accident 5 years ago, end of 2016, beginning of 2017. And he has major issues from that. Brain damage. He lost an eye. He has memory issues. Dallas, he's he'll never get back on, he'll never be on stage again as a musician. It's just not going to happen. From what I had heard, he's lived kind of like as a recluse since then, not been in the public eye. And for him to be there at the event and to get up on stage and say the things he did, one of the things he recounted, I remember when this happened because Corey and I were in the process of recording the first album when Dallas almost lost his life in the ATV accident. And Dallas was at Shands in Gainesville, which is one of the biggest medical treatment facilities in the area. And Corey's like, yeah, I got to go down to Shands and go take care of Dallas. He would say that. This is how close these guys were from their time in Under Oath. And Dallas recounted how he's like, man, I was in a coma. And he's like, I couldn't do anything. And he's like, Corey would come down and wash my hair. And he's like, and he said multiple times, he's like, who does that? Who does that? Who travels to go help wash someone else's hair? Because he was in a coma and he couldn't do it himself. And that just goes to show you the kind of things that Corey would do for people. The cover that we have is Corey's holding a red guitar on the cover. And people are like, what's significant about that guitar? Well, when he recorded the Crossroads Conundrum, most of the guitar solos he did on that album were on that guitar. A very unmetal looking guitar, unmetal style, unmetal everything. Definitely not what you'd expect out of melodic metal at all. A few months after, of course, like, yeah, man, I gave that guitar away. And I was like, no, why would you give it away? That thing had the best tone. It just fits your style. He's like, yeah, I had a buddy of mine that needed a guitar, so I gave it to him. Well, fast forward to the sessions for this album, and Corey's like, hey, can my friend Rick come down with me? Do you care if Rick comes down when I record? He's like, Rick's a really good guy, but I really want you to meet him. I think you're really going to like him. I'm like, sure, no problem. If you vouch for Rick and you think Rick is going to be a good addition to being in the studio, go ahead, let's do it. So Corey and Rick drove down and popped open the tailgate to his SUV, and there's just a wall of guitar cases. They had brought 7 electric guitars and an acoustic guitar and so many bags of equipment. It was just crazy. And Corey was like, we sat down and Corey's like, hey, you know that candy apple red guitar that I used to record? I told you I gave it away. He's like, Rick is the guy I gave it to. One of the guitars we brought down is that one. And sure enough, Corey recorded guitar parts on 3 of the songs, vocals on 2. And he did more stuff on that candy apple red guitar on this album than any other guitar of these 7 that they brought. And so it was just interesting the link there between us all. Like I said, that was the first time I'd ever met Rick. Rick allowed Corey to play on this guitar that Corey had given him. Steph was on video chat with us that day. So the 4 of us are in there having this session together, even though Steph was remote. So Steph and Corey are giving me the business. Me and Rick are giving Corey the business. It was like Corey and Steph had known each other, even though they hadn't, because I had talked enough to Corey about Steph and to Steph about Corey. And the same thing with Rick and I, where we just vibed and I felt like I was totally just getting busted on by the 2 of them. They just both had the vibe. Rick and I had the vibe for Corey. And when Corey passed away, which was 11 days after this session, Rick was the one who actually informed me. He didn't have my phone number, so he had to just send me an IM. And I was on video chat with Steph because that's what we do every day. We work on our different comic titles and our business every day. So she got to see my visceral reaction to this message from Rick. And I just sat there with my hands on my head and I was like, what? Oh no. And she's like, what's going on? And she's like, it felt like you didn't say anything to me for like 10 minutes. I couldn't get you anything. And it was probably a minute where I just couldn't get anything out of my mouth. But, so the 3 of us have that little bond right there. Rick gave me the information. Steph got to see my reaction, which I've never been on that side of it before. I've been on the side of being there with a father when he's told, we have a body that matches your son's description. I've seen people have that reaction. I was there when my mom was told that my uncle had died of a major heart attack. I saw her visceral reaction. I've never been on the side of me to have the visceral reaction and somebody else witness it in real time. So it really bonded the 3 of us. And Rick was an integral part of that cover that you showed earlier. Rick helped us get the pictures of the guitars. We ran the concepts by Rick. We ran everything by him, so that way the cover itself was a collection of Steph and Rick and myself and our ideas, and then Sims, the artist, as well. The four of us put our thoughts together. We had an original concept that was going to be really cool for it. Corey being, an angel, and instead of an angel, they're going to be great. And then we kind of photos together. And we're like, man, I'm not thinking we have to come up with a concept.
Well, here, let's see here. Here's that cover again. Just so I love how that turned out.
So if you quick look at that cover so you see behind his head, you've got the two guitars coming out to the sides. Those guitars are in the video where he's talking about jamming, and a lot of the news outlets when he died, he's playing that guitar. His waist, he played in Under Oath. He played with Heirs of Isildur. If you look above his head, you see a couple of Jackson Flying V's from screen captures playing with Under Oath in 2000, 2001. The guitar bottom, the black guitar that is on the left hand, she sold.
Oh, hold up.
And me.
Hold up a sec here. Here. You're losing connection, sir.
Hey, am I?
Yeah, you're all over the place.
Weird. Can you not hear me?
No, I could. Well, it was going in and out.
Okay. So tell me, if I'm losing it, let me know.
All right. I think it's looking a little bit better now.
Okay. So, weird. I see it looking messy over there now. The black guitar is one. The kind of pear colored guitar is the first 7-string owned, and then that red guitar in the middle is the famous Candy Apple recording on that he gave away, and Rick brought.
Oh, I might have actually lost you this time. Oh, wait, you're kind of moving. I hear you typing now.
This is weird. Not sure what's
there we
going
go.
on.
Hey, it's not freezing up anymore.
On?
I think I blame your internet.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, I was trying to send you a message like, hey, I'm still here.
But no, man, I really, really, really like how that turned out, though. I mean, just that, and of course that was the perfect guitar to put up front too, just because it obviously just jumps that.
Yeah, and if you look at his socks, one of the things we tried to do on here, his family was all, oh, look at the smirk you got that looks just like a look he would give. Corey was well known for wearing ridiculous socks, and he always wore everybody said you got to have the silly socks. So James had like a pair of combat boots on him, and then Rick was like, we got to have socks. So James just pulled his pants up a little, gave him some silly socks, and Corey was a loving guy, and he always would end every conversation with, bro, love you, bro, love you, bro. And we wanted to get that onto the cover somehow. And we took these blue polka dot socks and we put the words love you, bro. If you look into on the socks real quick, love you, bro, or hit.
Oh, that is cool as hell. I wish I could actually expand it so we could actually kind of look in on that, but yeah, it's not gonna. Fortunately, I don't think I have a way to do that. Regardless, people should get that cover.
I agree. We want to see more fans of Midwest Metal Show and Asylum Radio Network jump over there and get their names on the list.
Well, on top of that, there's a couple of the packages where you can get literally all of the covers, every last one of them, and you should.
Right. We have packages called completionist cover packages. We have ultra completionist cover packages where you can get all the covers, all the vinyls. If you're somebody that is into steampunk and you want all the stuff we have on the steampunk side of things, we have the Let's Get Steamy. We have some Let's Get Steamy tiers, and that is everything that we've ever done that is steampunk based. We have Let's Get Medieval tiers, which is everything we've done in the medieval line. And then we actually have a tier at the very end that is called the collector of all collectors. And we try to make sure every time we have a campaign, we do one of those, because we want to make sure that if somebody is like, hey man, I want everything, they can go out and get everything. It's got like 35 different covers, every cover that we still have in stock from the original Heirs run, the trade paperback book. It's got all the different covers we did for Tales from Nocturnia, which is 15 different covers plus the trade paperback. You can get a shirt. You get everything for Nightmare Scenario. You get both CDs, both vinyls. We try to get every possible thing we could find and throw it in there. So if somebody's listening, I want to spend my stimulus on something cool.
Hey, there you go. I mean, let's see here. Yeah, that, and really anybody who, if you feel like you're getting into things late with everything that's come out and everything like that, that's okay. There are ones in there that you can get the trade paperbacks for Heirs of Isildur, for Tales from Nocturnia, and basically get absolutely everything on there. Or if you don't even want to get the physical versions and you just want to catch up digitally, you have stuff in there that you can get all the digital variations of all of that too. So
yeah, we know that if you're trying to get stuff overseas, that shipping right now is just an absolute bear. And we don't want our overseas fans to be like, oh, I want to get all this stuff, but I don't want to have to pay $37 shipping for a small package. And that's basically what it is now. So you're right. There's a bunch of digital completionist packs that we've got. Nightmare Scenario, both trades, both albums.
Actually, you know what? Talk about that. The record player cover, the mat.
You know what? Let me find the picture real quick. I'll shoot that over to you again in our chat, because that is one thing that we have criminally under discussed at this point.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It's like, I don't think we've even brought that up yet.
We have not. So yeah, Steph is going to be making dinner over there in California. She's going to, I can't believe that we did not talk about Harrison when I was on.
Yeah, hold on one sec here. This thing likes to cut my sound out when I click over to something else here. Give me 1 second to download this. Download, save image. And then get out of my Facebook. That way it doesn't cut out my sound. One of these days I'll figure out why that happens. But anyways.
So one of the things that we tried to do during this campaign, if you're anyone that has ever looked at our Kickstarter campaigns, we have worked closely with Harrison and Martin over at GB Leatherworks. And we met them at one of our steampunk shows, and just really good guys. And they're just
I've got some of their cool shit that they've made. I don't have my kid's mask because, well, my kid has their mask.
How dare she has her own mask?
Right. Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. I had them custom. Actually, as part of the last Kickstarter, it wasn't even part of it. It was just one of those things of we made it work. But I have the Oni mask that was essentially was one of the very first logos from the Jay Wendell show back in the day. And then and also, instead of doing two that matched up, we have one that's that Oni mask, and he hand tooled all of this stuff, and it is just absolutely fucking gorgeous. Let's see here. We got like one of the Plague Doctor keychain masks and stuff like that. And I have the dragon here somewhere, but I don't have enough light that I can figure out where the hell I set it.
So yeah, these guys have done, anything from custom gauntlets for us to full-size dragon masks. We wanted to do something that was going to be thematic to this campaign. And so what they did was we made some leather turntable, decorative turntable covers. So they're not slip match. You don't want to be putting your record on there. They're just there. So if you don't have a record on there, you can put it on your turntable and kind of go from there. So what that is on the left-hand side, that is the Heirs of Isildur. That is the Father Time Emporium symbol, which also is the Guild of the Golden Gear, if you read the book. So there's the two different things that's the symbol of. If you go to the shows, you'll always see Steph and I wearing that on our right sleeve, because that's just part of the Father Time Emporium's logo. On the right is the double dragon logo. We have the Dragon's Lair logo from Tales from Nocturnia. So what those are, those can go on your turntable, and they are basically just there for decorative purposes. They're made out of leather. If you're somebody's like, dude, they look really cool, but I don't have a turntable. You just want to, those things are very thick, solid material. You could be like, hey, all I want to do is just get one to slap Jay Wendell in the face with it. He would probably give a pretty good mark on his face if you slapped him with it. So that could be a good thing to do. One of the things that is
just got to make.
Oh, I see it. I see it. You're right.
Okay,
right.
there you go.
That sounds good. So one of the things that is Kickstarter exclusive, and if you go to the campaign page, there's a video at the bottom that you can take a look at there, where there are going to be glow-in-the-dark elements that are on the Kickstarter exclusive versions. The only way to get it with the glow-in-the-dark elements is during the Kickstarter campaign. There's going to be elements on the dragon. I think the clock hands and maybe one other thing on the steampunk one are going to be glow in the dark. So if you want to have these cool leather items that can either go on your turntable, or you can stick them on a nail and put them on your wall and just spin them around with your hand when you feel like it. You can get these things as well. But the only way to get the glow in the dark ones is to get them through the campaign. To make them glow in the dark is not exactly the easiest prospect. So he's like, I'll do them for the Kickstarter campaign, but the process to make them glow is a little involved, and we don't want to commit to people that we're going to continue to do this after. So if they want it, they got to get it right now.
Seems fair enough. That, and they do fantastic work over there. Fantastic work. Hell, I mean, honestly, people should, if you want cool ass custom leather work, period. Oh, they do such nice work.
And if there's something that you've seen the GB Leatherworks guys do that you're like, hey man, this isn't on the campaign, but I really want to get that. I want to get Nightmare Scenario, and then I want to get custom gauntlets. I want to get one of the baby dragon head keychains. Just message us and let us know. We are not in the sales prevention department. We'll figure out a way to make it work. If you see anything that we've done previously that is not in the campaign, or if you're like, I want to get 2 of the Corey cover or something like that, let us know and we'll figure it out for you. We have a guy that he wants to get a whole lot of things. When I say that, I don't mean like a whole lot. I mean, he wants to get like a whole package of items from us, and there's no way we can make a tier out of it. We're like, hey, we'll just figure out the cost for you on the back end. As long as you pledge that amount, we'll make sure we have everything together for you that you need.
Yeah, like my bracers were not that was not part of that Kickstarter per se, but it became part of it.
Darn right it did. I mean, like I said, why not? Why not? What is the purpose of making somebody not be able to purchase things? We're going to make sure that we do whatever we can to do that.
Right, and it just led to me getting more stuff from them anyhow.
Yeah, you definitely that Plague Doctor mask that lights up is pretty unbelievable.
My kid loves it.
One of the other things we have not talked about on this call yet is that we've talked about obviously Corey's involvement in the album, but one of the things we tried to do this time around, we wanted to get a few more hands involved in the Kickstarter. I mean, in the album. One of my really good buddies is Zach Leeser, Zach Leeser, out of Texas. He is an absolute savant on the guitar. He's a solo musician himself. I think he's got 7 albums out. He just dropped his most recent album on January 1st. Definitely go to Bandcamp and take a look for Zach Leeser at ZACLEASER. I had cut some guest vocals for him on a while back on a song called Visions. And it was always an understood, hey, whenever the time comes, that he was going to return the favor and cut some tracks back for us. And Zach was able to get onto Perilous Prospects of the Portals and a song called Welcome to the Dragon's Lair. And really, really, really good guitar solos on there. We also have got Andrew Polo, who's the violin player that you heard on the song we played earlier, the Perilous Prospects of Shadows Haven. Andrew Polo is a wicked, wicked, wicked violin player. He's on that song. He's also going to be on one other song on the album. We got two of the guys on the production side. We got Brian Eckerman, who's our mastering engineer, and then Kyle Weston, who just came in this album as our mix engineer, it's interesting the way we're doing it. I'm mixing everything on this side. Kyle's remote, and he's basically being like, dude, you got to get this on there, and you got to, get bus glue on this thing. You got to tweak this. You got to tweak that. So we're doing all the mixing remotely, but Kyle's definitely been the ear for us on the mix side. Kyle and Brian are both also guitar players themselves. Brian is a solo musician. He's also in Scars of the Flesh. Each of them got to cut a guitar solo for the album. And then last but not least, our buddies in Trollfest out of Norway that we talked about earlier, their newest member, Fabio Grimdrap, actually got to cut a guitar solo that's a really cool sounding, catchy 80s style guitar riff for the song Something Sinister This Way Comes. So we have a bunch of different musicians across the scope that got a chance to get their hands onto this album with us. We even got a couple of quick little guest cameos like Rick Lobb, Corey's friend who came down with him that day. Corey actually got Rick to cut a little bit of vocals on one of the songs. And one of the interesting things is the very last thing that Corey ever recorded in his entire life, Rick was able to cut vocals on that exact same spot. So the last thing Corey ever recorded is exactly what Rick got to record as well. And also, because there's kind of like some spots that need a little bit of fill, I filled a little bit in there. And when Steph was just down, she filled a couple of spots in there as well. So the very last thing that Corey was able to record, it showed some unity between myself, Steph, Rick, and Corey in that last little spot, unifying together for the last words that ever came out of Corey's mouth in a recording fashion.
Well, it's funny though with the new song, I got to hear it initially differently than what it ended up being, and that was literally within weeks.
Yeah, when I played it for Jay, the Perilous Prospects of Shadows Haven started off with the violin, and both Andrew the violin player and Kyle were like I feel like there needs to be something else there at the beginning of the song, and they both kept on singing. I'm like, fine, I'll try something. I'll try something here, because I was like, dang it, we'll figure it out. And so I started playing with the keyboards a little bit. I'm like, okay, this might be all right. And as soon as I got it developed, I sent it off to everybody to see what they thought, and Steph was like, oh, that sounds really good. And Kyle was like, oh, I think we have a winner. And Andrew's like, oh, we have a winner. It's like everybody across the board. And so I knew as soon as we sent it over to you, Jay, I'm like, dude, Jay's going to be digging this, because when Jay and I met up, I played him a few of the songs in my car, and that was the Perilous Prospects of Shadows Haven was the one that he really gravitated towards. Yeah. So I knew if it passed Jay's smell test when he heard it, that we had a winner. And I think you liked it. I think you dug it.
Yeah, I love how it turned out. And honestly, it just, like I said, it has a nice, almost wall of sound feel to it too. I'm a big, I love my metal, but I also love that almost prog feel to it when where everything just kind of fills in and fills out.
Yeah.
And just from start to finish, that turned out fantastic. So,
well, thank you.
And it's a nice way to start everything too, I think,
Yeah, we wanted to start off with something that sounded big and epic, but also was accessible to where people listening were not like, yeah, that's a little too much for me. The next song on the album, The Perilous Prospects of the Portals, was written to sound a little more raw and wild, and there's some really weird kind of like spacey keyboards in there. When I say space, I mean like alien sounding keyboards. It's got a little more
aliens. What, you like aliens?
Yes, sir.
Let's see here. I don't know that I know anybody that has as much like alien paraphernalia than you.
Aliens are good, man. I tried to convince Steph to wear an alien shirt tonight, man, but we just didn't have the ability to get it hooked up. But you know what, though? Steph and I were going to twin with the alien shirt, but you know what? You and I, we got to twin with the Heirs.
It's all right. It's all right. It works. I do like the hats too, although honestly, I guarantee you that style of hat and how you have it wouldn't fit my damn head anyhow. So
yeah, we need to get some new hats. So there's actually, these hats are actually, there's a little funny story about this. If you look at this hat, you'll see that the word Insymmetry is actually misspelled. So, but here's the funny thing about it. So I sent these off to the printer, and literally all they had to do was take the logo that I sent them, put it on the hat, print it up, good to go. I got these for Steph and I as a Christmas present one year. She flew in for a show that we were doing in January. I gave her the present, and I've got a video of her opening these up in the car, and she's like, "No, get out of town." And all I did was I got them. Hey, cool. Threw them in the box. So that way, like, she didn't know that I had it until she got a chance to open it up. And on the video, you see her look at it, and then she looks at the other one. There's just this kind of look on her face, like I didn't know what was up. And then after a while, she's like, "Do you know that this is misspelled?" And I'm like, "How could it possibly be misspelled?" And for some reason, when they took the logo out of the file I sent them and they put it onto the machine, somebody had the idea that the T in Insymmetry was supposed to be an I. So it became Incendiary Creations. I was like, dudes, this is not the logo I sent you. So they had to send us 2 more. So Steph and I both have a hat that is spelled correctly, and we both have a hat that is spelled incorrectly, and we still wear them just because it's fun. It's fun to wear them. People be like, "What's wrong with your hat?"
Hey, at least it gives something to anybody who's paying attention. It gives a little bit more to talk about, you know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Have you guys made any merch that actually with just the Insymmetry stuff?
The only thing we've done is these hats, and we also did just a regular sticker, but we've not done any shirts, anything like that. Is that something you think that you think we should consider? You think we should consider doing some Insym stuff?
I think that, and you know what, it may not even be as big of scale as far as like what you guys get for the Heirs of Isildur stuff like that, but I think there'd be people that have some interest in it. I mean, honestly, it's a cool looking logo too. So
appreciate that. Yeah, we're always looking for new merch ideas. We just talked last night about a potential merch idea. We always want to stretch the boundaries of what we have, because we know that, again, this is a collector's market. People don't want just the same old over and over and over again. That's why we're doing the splatter vinyl this time. That's why we try to do different color shirts. You know, we don't always want to have black shirts. That's why we've done brown steampunk shirts and red and gray, trying to be a little different. If there's any merch out there that you guys in listener land want to see us consider, let us know. I mean, I'm in Florida, Steph's in California. We're in kind of tropical environments in that respect. So it's not like we've got a big market for hoodies or anything like that. But if there's something you want us to see us do, and we have enough people that want us to do it, we'll consider anything. As long as there's a market for it, we'll consider anything.
I'm surprised you haven't done any like little like mini figures or anything like that with characters and such.
That's something that this definitely on our radar. We absolutely want to be able to do something like that. The financials of that aren't really right yet because of minimum orders and quantities and things like that. But we've absolutely talked about for quite a while having
down the line. Well, down the line, I might actually have. So, ironically enough, my ex-wife is about to get her third 3D printer. And doing stuff along those lines, even the painting and stuff like that, she may be willing to be plied into possibly doing something like that. Just especially having 3 printers going, I mean, definitely a lot quicker to get things together, and that's probably going to be the best way to do it, is to have somebody actually make 3D 3D file of it, everything, and be able to print it out. And because you can, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with that.
Yeah, my son just got a 3D printer and he printed out some minifigures for Dungeons and Dragons campaigns.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's exactly the kind of thing that we want. The rub for that is going to come from us having to get the 3D images, the Blender type images for each character, so that way they look like, say, Merc with her blue and purple hair in Heirs, or Verminoth or Beninock the Executioner from Tales from Nocturnia, or Michael Isildur. You know, we're going to have to get those together, but that's absolutely something we want to do alongside of, you know, we want to get more stories out there into the market. We have one we're working on right now. We literally were just talking about it before we got on this show, that we're not allowed to talk about by name, but it's a G-rated story that is wildly outside of what we normally do, but it is absolutely something that once you get a chance to see it is something that you're going to be like, yep, I can totally see Matt and Steph's fingerprints all over this thing. Very
just
fun.
With less murder.
Yeah, absolutely less murder. There's definitely not. Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of that happening in this story. Definitely something you're going to be able to put in front of a child, and the kids will have fun with it, and the adults as well.
Right. Try not to make too many kids cry, you know.
So Annie in the chat says racerback shirts are needed and hoodies. So
wow, I forgot to even check that.
So Annie, if we got to find us, if we can find a few more people want to buy and make some racerback shirts, we would consider it. We would consider anything.
I'm actually planning on. I think I'm going to have some done up actually for my merch here soon. Just because I've had before, like I've had requests for people for tanks, for racerback, stuff like that. It's more just like looking into how can I do it and make it cost effective to do it.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why on the last Kickstarter campaign, we had the pre-orders for the shirts, so that way through the campaign we could see how many of each size we needed to order, and then we just ordered a few extra ones, because it's really hard to predict, and shirts are not cheap to have quantity of sitting around, and that really helped us to be able to understand what the order quantities needed to be for what we were doing. So that may be something you may want to do, is see if you can say, if you want one, let me know by X date, and that way you can kind of order to.
Well, so I have an idea on that actually, because I was so last time I did shirts, I asked people, it's like, you know, would you get a shirt? If so, what size? And kind of like did my numbers based off of that and everything like that. As it turned out, while I sold through the shirts, it was with some doing, and most of the people who said so weren't the ones that got them. So one thing, although interestingly enough, though, so my buddy Scott Eames, he's the guy who has the band Navalra, and then is also the lead vocalist for Vital Remains now, and the guitarist, one of the guitarists for the Antichrist now too. When he did his last round of Navalra hoodies and stuff like that, he actually had people, and it wasn't that long between the pre-order and the actual putting everything together. He literally just did a pre-order of them where it's like, hey, you want them? Throw down money. It'll make sure you have the size you want and everything like that. And I know he got extra ones too, you know, obviously, so he could, you know, for whatever touring does happen again and everything like that. But for the most part, it was just a custom tuned order to who ordered them. So,
yep. I know in Fairy did that when they did a shirt where guy did a mashup of Bobby from wait a minute, what the show was that?
King of the Hill?
King of the Hill. Bobby from King of the Hill and Malcolm, the guitar player, and it had the Inferi logo on there. And they're like, hey, you get a shirt pre-order. We're literally not ordering any additional of these things. You get it through the pre-order and that's it. And they literally ordered the quantity and went from there. I got myself one of those. Steph owns one of them. because those shirts are stupid and hilarious. And, you know, who wants to see Bobby and a tech metal guy mashed up? I mean, it was great.
Well, the next round of actual merch and stuff like that, I need to make sure to get you guys both shirts too. So the funny thing is about that first round that I did with the old logo and stuff like that, I ordered it knowing that this was going to be the case, but I probably gave away at least a third of them just to like different people who've been supporting stuff like that as I could. And then I started realizing I was running out of certain sizes and stuff because I forgot to ask those people that I was giving stuff away to what size they were and didn't adjust accordingly. Like, I think the only thing I have left at this point, I have like 2 3X shirts and I think a small.
Wow. And it's weird too. I mean, when we first started doing orders and I first started doing shirt orders, I was thinking with a metal crowd mind, and I was ordering a lot of smaller shirts, and it took a little bit of time for me to realize that that's not what I need to be ordering. Now we're ordering as many double X's and triple X's as we are smalls and mediums, because a lot of our fans are not small individuals.
Let's put it this way. A lot of comic fans end up being there seems to be a higher percentage of heftier fans. Not to say look, I'm a hefty dude too, so I'm not even like I wear a 2X, so it's know that I'm not dogging anybody here. But that being said, generally the crowds tend to be a little bit more around my size. So, and subsequently, I can do a regular extra large. It's just that's when I'm going for the tighter t-shirt look, you know, because I'm not small.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I've had times where I wore smaller clothes than I do right now, and I need to fix that and get back to that. But right now, I'm definitely still in pandemic mode, man. Pandemic has definitely not been good to me, and I've not been good to myself in the pandemic.
I haven't really been buying just regular XLs on the regular since I think the last time I was buying them on the regular was probably after I got divorced, what I called my divorce diet, because I literally dropped what are you doing, cat? No. I literally dropped it was about 80, close to 90 pounds, I think, like right after I got divorced.
Right. And then, I remember that. I remember when you were a tiny little tot.
And then I started dating somebody who really liked to cook food, and that divorce diet very rapidly was no more. But hey, you know what? I'm not the type of guy to turn down good food ever.
Hey, I feel you, man. I'm kind of in the same boat.
And it's a lot harder to keep it off these days. It's definitely progressively, as I've gotten older, become a little bit more difficult to. Not that I was ever really a small dude, but like it turns out as you get older, metabolism does not get better with age.
No, it is not your friend. It is not my friend.
Oh, but let's see. Merch wise, stuff like that would be cool. I still love I'm glad I got the patch here. Actually, last time I saw you, the glow in the dark Heirs patch.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that one. That one, it's really cool when you see people that have their battle vests and they've got the Heirs patch on there. You're like, dude, that one is going to be glowing in the dark. You know, they're going to be out there at a show and see that patch glowing on their jacket.
You know, the only one that people are going to actually see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna that's one of probably my most favorite pieces of merch that we've had made. We did the laser engraved wooden stickers. Annie says she still needs a Tails patch. We might have to make that happen one of these days. We'll have to make a Tails patch happen. We haven't bit the bullet on that one yet, just because of the quantities that we need to make on that one. But that's something that could potentially happen. You never know.
Right. Although honestly, with like a lot of the font work and stuff like that, it might actually be easier to do the Tails one.
Yeah, they both are designed with the same style in mind. But yeah, Tales has definitely got Nocturnia's definitely got some complication there as well. We'll have to see. Well, like I said, it's definitely something we've considered. We just have to see if we could figure out the quantities on that and kind of go from there.
Yeah. Let's see here. I mean, you could do, and honestly too, you could do other patches based off the like. I mean, honestly, if you made a patch even of just of the gear, the H with the gear, because that still holds up so well.
Yeah, the first Heirs ever designed. I really, it's interesting that one is still kind of stood the test of time in a sense.
I think that, I mean, honestly, you should do at some point you should do a rerun of either a rerun or do a modified run of the shirts with that logo too, because that'll probably sell like crazy, especially if you do bigger sizes.
Yeah,
because
there definitely was the bigger sizes.
Like I enjoy the shirt quite a bit. It is a little bit snug on me because I have an extra large of that because you didn't have any double X's at the time. So trying to make me muffin top.
Oh man, muffin top's the best top.
Oh well, that
so yeah, I know we're getting. I know we're near the end of your show here.
Very true.
Yeah, I know we're getting to the end of the show. If you guys are out there listening, please go take a look at our campaign. It's in my name. It's scroll at the bottom of the screen. Heirs versus TFA. It is the up album to the Crossroads Conundrum. There's 5 songs for Heirs of Isildur. There are 5 songs for Tales from Nocturnia. If you're like, what the heck is Isildur and Tales from Nocturnia? Heirs of Isildur is our steampunk time travel comic series, 68-page graphic novel. We also have the follow-up story to that, which is called Nightmare Scenario. When I say follow-up, it's actually a bridge story between the Crossroads Conundrum and our upcoming story arc, The Perilous Prospects. The way that we like to say it is, if you were to watch Lord of the Rings Return of the King, the theatrical version compared to the extended version, there's about 20 minutes or so at the beginning of on the extended version that's not in the theatrical version. And Peter Jackson had stated he didn't want to start the theatrical version off with what felt like a 20-minute continuation of movie 2. So he cut it out for movie 3 so that they could just get right into the storyline. What Nightmare Scenario does at the end of the Crossroads Conundrum, the main character finds himself in mortal peril. You're asking a question: is he alive? Has he perished? Or is he somewhere in between? And we want to make sure that question is answered so that everyone knows who the characters are and who the players are and who they are, who they aren't when we get into the Perilous Prospects. There's not going to be any question as to who is going to be involved. And we felt like that was something that needed to happen right now. It was something we could not wait any longer. We intended on the Nightmare Scenario chapter coming out at some point in 2020, but 2020 happened, and we all know exactly what happened then. And we changed up the way that we went about things. We're having with Nocturnia. So instead of doing Nocturnia 2 and then Heirs and then going back to Nocturnia 3, we just kept on with the flow from Nocturnia 2 and did Nocturnia 2, the Nocturnia in the trade, and now we're coming back on Heirs and the follow-up album. So we designed it as a one-shot. So if you're someone that has not ever read Heirs of Isildur, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I read this gigantic I got to read the gigantic book to be able to understand what's going on. No, that's not the case at all. We had a guy that we took the other night. He was like, when Star Wars came out, A New Hope, that was part 4. You started off, you just said, hey, I'm starting off at part 4. You didn't need parts 1, 2, and 3 to understand what the story was.
Although that probably confused the hell out of the people initially.
Well, we're going to give just enough prequel and prologue to at the beginning of Nightmare Scenario. People can understand what they're getting themselves into. without going and spoiling the entirety of what the Crossroads Conundrum is. If we're going to make sure you understand who the players are, whether it's beforehand, whether it's afterwards, with a little bit of expand and understand. We're going to try and get into all the characters that you're going to come across in the issue, so that way, and we try to always do that at the end, so that way the characters aren't spoiled for all the readers. If somebody wants to read those things first, understand the characters, then go back and read the issue, by all means do it. We always try to put them in, so that way if somebody wants to be surprised to see who shows up, because there's going to be some characters you're going to see, you're going to be like, heck yes, I'm so glad to see that person show up in the new. We don't want to spoil them by putting it at the beginning. We put it at the beginning and people are going to be like, well, I guess I know X person or X entity is going to be coming up in this story. Thanks for spoiling it in this issue for me. We're going to put that at the end, so that way you can understand. If you like, I don't understand the significance of X character and why they're here, you'll get to read a little bit more about them at the end, and you'll be like, oh, okay. Now I understand why that character is so important to this story arc.
Well,
so Annie's down there in the chat. I know Annie has badgered us at shows, and she's been like, I need to know what happens to Michael Isildur. So if she's still down there, it'd be nice to know if she thinks he's alive or if he's dead or if he's somewhere in between. You never know.
Could always have been nice and made her a character that finds him. No.
Well, for this, we expect to have this. We expect it done by the end of the campaign. Like, it's going to be done really soon. And we did leave you on a friggin' cliffhanger, Annie. So the only thing we could offer for this issue was some
zombie heads.
And get a chance to be drawn in as with a single headshot. And if you want to buy a Draw Me In and you buy it for this campaign, you're buying to be drawn in the first of the Perilous prospects, because we expect to be starting that soon. We want to be able to get that out there to you guys. We don't want to wait till the camp starts to have to go back and let you back in. We want to know who's going to be in there. Annie's going to be in there. She's already one person that's already said, hey, get in this one, find a character for her and go from there.
Is she going to be killed again? No. Can't tell yet.
Maybe. Or no. You never know. I'm not going to. Hey, you never know. In this one, she lived had a glorious death in Tales from Nocturnia, so she'll probably be able to stay around in this one. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen in one of our stories.
All right. Well, sir, as always, it's been a fucking blast.
Hey, I appreciate you having Steph and I on, and like I said, we definitely want to see some people get out there and look at the campaign, listen to the music that's up there, and support, and let us know if you're coming in from Midwest Metal Show or from Asylum Radio Network, and just like I said, let us know where you're coming in from, so that way we can show you guys some love and show you guys some give you guys some props and give the Midwest Metal Show and Asylum Radio Network some props back as well.
And there's more music coming.
Ooh, that's right. That's right.
A lot more music coming.
Jay's heard some of it, and Jay likes it.
I have. Although, honestly, it's probably going to be even a little bit different than what I heard, because hell,
you're probably right.
Prospects was, yes, it was fantastic. Well, that and one thing too, for anybody who's a fan of Corey Steger, it's the very, very, very last thing that he recorded.
11 days before he passed away. The last tracks he ever recorded are in our possession. They'll be on here. There's 2 songs with vocals and 3 guitar solos from him will be on this album.
All right, folks. But yeah, make sure, check out the Kickstarter, support if you can't. Hell, even if it's throwing a couple bucks towards it just to get the digital or anything like that, every little bit helps. It's not like one of those things where it's just a matter of like, yeah, the minimum got reached and everything like that. That doesn't mean it's a payday or anything like that. It's because it just makes it more able for people to get all these cool things and everything. It's not necessarily that it really does anything more financially, aside from the production of all the cool stuff.
And the farther we get on the campaign, like I said, I don't think people understand when you're talking about producing multiple vinyl variants and 5 different covers and a bunch of the other things we have to do. Those things definitely add up. So we, like you said, we're not talking about us, rolling around in, $100 bills. The farther we go, the more we get to give back to the people that have actually backed the campaign. We just announced that there's 3 trading cards we're going to do. We have the malfunctioning Michael card, and then we have 2 different cards that are each one half of the cover art, the showdown cover. We're going to randomly insert one of those 3 foil cards into every physical backers package. The farther we go, the more stuff that gets added on. So the sooner you get in, the more awesome stuff you're going to get in for your backing.
All right. Well, once again, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like I said, check out the Kickstarter page. Check out the video. If you're looking to follow what's going on with the campaign and everything that Insymmetry Creations does, find them on Facebook. Also, Heirs Isildur has a page on there. Listen to the music that's already come out. Listen to the new stuff. Hell, you can get the old album and this one on this Kickstarter.
That's right.
So
that's what you want to do. Get everything.
So, anyways, have a good one. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you,
all
sir.
you guys. See you in hell.